oral questions. Question orale, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we are 2 months from Michigan's May 12th deadline for Line 5. Government officials said it was their preference to have Enbridge fight for Line 5 before they had to get involved. The minister even said the government didn't have a formal analysis of how many jobs were at risk. What is it going to take for this government to stand up for Line 5?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government is standing up for Line 5. We know that it is a vital source of fuel for homes and businesses on both sides of the border. We support its continued safe operation, and we are advocating for that. We are explaining, as we did during the NAFTA negotiations, that Canada is a safe and reliable supplier of energy to the United States, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it's more than just fuel. It's thousands of jobs in Ontario. The Deputy Prime Minister forgets about jobs in southwestern Ontario. Canada's ambassador to the US said that discussions have broken down between Enbridge and the government of Michigan. But the government's plan still seems to be to let Enbridge stand up for the jobs of Canadians while they sit on the sidelines. How much longer will the thousands of Canadian workers the Prime Minister just forgot, how long will they have to wait till they have someone standing up for their jobs?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as our government demonstrated during the NAFTA negotiations, and as we demonstrate every day during the COVID pandemic with our support for Canadian workers and Canadian jobs, we will never forget about Canadian workers. We will never forget about Canadian jobs, whether it is in southwestern Ontario or anywhere else in the country. Line 5 continues to operate and to supply refineries in Canada and in the United States, and we're going to continue to fight for Line 5.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaking of thousands more forgotten by this government, Mr. Speaker, 58,000 small businesses have closed due to COVID-19. Only half of the small businesses in the entire country are fully open, and less than 40% have full staffing levels. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and the Liberals have no real plan for their future. As main streets across Canada go dark, when are Canadians going to get a real plan to save small business?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives need to pick a lane. Last spring, when asked about what support the government should offer Canadians, the member for Carleton said, "You might want to address COVID-19 with big, fat government programs. We're Conservatives, so we don't believe in that." Yet today, the Conservatives are calling for support measures that our government actually created last year. The Conservative leader can't seem to decide what he believes in and seems ready to say anything to score cheap political points. We believe in supporting Canadian workers and Canadian businesses, and we're going to keep on doing that.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, the last time the Liberal government tabled a budget was in March of 2019. 2 years with no budget, and yet ongoing expenses with no plan. When will the Prime Minister decide to table a plan for our spending and for an economic recovery in every sector and every region? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives need to pick a lane. Last spring, when asked about the support that the government was going to be offering to Canadians, the member for Carleton stated, "Well, you might want to tackle COVID-19 with big government programs, but we're Conservatives, and so we don't believe in that." Our government understands that we need to support businesses and workers. But now the Conservatives need to explain what they believe in. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, nearly 60,000 small businesses have already closed because of COVID-19. Only 50% of businesses are completely open. More than 60% have laid off workers. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. There's a real crisis here for our small businesses. They need a plan for the future. Where is the plan? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to acknowledge this issue. This question gives me the opportunity to note the hypocrisy and cynicism of the Conservatives. Yesterday, they voted against a bill that would provide financial support, urgent financial support, for small businesses. Today, they claim to be supporting small businesses. Their actions show that this is not true. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, from the beginning of the mandatory hotel quarantines, there's been a decrease in the number of travellers arriving at our airports. Curiously, at the same time, more and more travellers are entering Canada through the land border. Mr. Speaker, this is because everyone has realized that they can bypass the rules. People take the airplane, get off at Burlington, take the bus across the border, get in, save $2,000, and go home without quarantining. This makes no sense, Mr. Speaker. Why not apply the same rules to all non-essential travellers? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the question. Canada has one of the strictest border control systems in the world. And that is necessary. That's the right thing to do. We all understand that we need to protect Canadians from COVID-19. At the same time, we also have to protect essential trade between Canada and the United States. That's also important. And we should all be proud that we did this. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Well, she didn't answer my question, but that's okay. We'll try again. By creating two sets of rules for travellers, depending on whether they arrive by air or land, the government is just diverting traffic from the airports. It's such a well-known fact that, in fact, hotel quarantines can be avoided by crossing the land border, that companies are openly offering this service to non-essential travellers. Circumventing the rules is such an obvious choice now that it's a business opportunity, Mr. Speaker. The federal government is a laughingstock. Does it realize this? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I really want to note that Canada has one of the strictest travel control systems in the world. With new variants, we know that we need to take additional measures to protect Canadians from COVID-19, and that's exactly what we've done. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have clearly stated that no one should be traveling because it can be dangerous for yourself and your loved ones. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. Thank you. The pandemic has hit small businesses hard. They're afraid that they might have to close. The government gave $750 billion to support businesses, but there's no plan to help small businesses. Limits on credit card fees could help small businesses. So will the Prime Minister limit credit card fees in order to help small businesses? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have to say that I agree with the member who is the leader of the NDP. I agree with him that it's very important to help small and medium-sized businesses, and that's what our government is doing. That's why it's so urgent that we pass Bill C-14. And I want to thank all members who have helped us in supporting this important bill. Concerning credit card fees, this is also an important issue, and we are currently studying it.
Member for Burnaby South.
Last week, I spent time with small businesses in BC, and they are worried and they're afraid that they might shut down their business and never open again. We saw the Liberal government move very quickly in the early pandemic to give nearly $750 billion of support to big banks, but there's no clear plan specifically for small business. A limit on credit card fees would help small businesses. They've said so. So will the Prime Minister put a limit of 1%, cap credit card fees at 1% to help small business in this difficult time?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
I'd like to thank the leader of the NDP for that question. And let me just start by saying that our government agrees with him that it is absolutely essential to support small businesses. That is why I would like to call on all members of this House to join us in supporting Bill C-14. Small businesses need it. And let me just say, we are here for small businesses. Let me point to just one program, CEBA. Over 842,000 small businesses across the country have received CEBA loans as of March 4th. When it comes to credit card fees, another important issue which we are looking at closely.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
Dr. Richard Otis, health statistician and economist at Memorial University, has published a COVID misery index. And the results for Canada are, well, miserable. In fact, Canada ranks 11th because of the government's poor performance on the health and economic side. With the worst deficit, the worst unemployment, and the worst vaccination rates in the G7, why is this government so miserable?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I can't speak for the misery on the other side of the House, but let me just say on our side of the House, we are so grateful to Canadians for their hard work and their resilience. And thanks to that hard work and the strong support from our government, let me share the great news with this House that in the fourth quarter of last year, our GDP grew by nearly 10%. That is higher than the US, the UK, France, Germany, or Italy. Well done, Team Canada.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
Excellent grades for Canadians, terrible grades for this government. Last quarter of the year, of course, they had far more ground to make up because our economic downfall was far greater. In fact, after all the quarters are done, Canada still has the highest unemployment in the G7, which that minister and the Prime Minister have long said is the best measurement to determine the job market. And now, an independent scientific study shows that Canada has the highest COVID misery index out of 11 countries. We rank 11th out of 15, even worse than the United States. Why such miserable results?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, let me urge the member opposite to take a closer look at the international data. Canada has a higher labor force participation rate at 64.3%, a higher rate than Germany, the US, and Japan. And Canada has recovered 71% of the jobs lost in the wake of the pandemic. That compares to just 56% in the US. So again, let me thank those hardworking Canadian small businesses, those hardworking Canadians. They are so resilient, and our government will be here to support you as long as it takes.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
Yesterday, it was reported that the minister will not be tabling a federal budget this month. For over 700 days, Canadians have been left without a plan for our economy. Canada is suffering from the worst unemployment in the G7 after spending the most among the major advanced economies. Tourism, hospitality, charities, and thousands of other small businesses are calling out for help. Is the minister listening? And when will she finally table a budget for all to see?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government is definitely listening to Canadians, and I would like to thank the Canadians who submitted 58,000 written submissions in our pre-budget consultations. But I would like to take this opportunity to ask the Conservatives whether they are listening to small business and whether they heard Dan Kelly, who said Bill C-14 has some important measures for small business. CFIB urges all parties to ensure this support is passed quickly. So let me echo Mr. Kelly and urge the Conservatives to stop playing partisan games and support small business with a vote.
The honourable member for Abbotsford.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's really cute because I've met with Mr. Kelly 3 times in the last month. It is utterly irresponsible for this Liberal government to go 2 full years without tabling a budget for Canadians to see. That's the longest period in Canadian history without an economic plan. Without a plan, we can't reopen our economy, can't get Canadians back to work, or help the hardest hit businesses to survive. It's been 2 years. What's the date for the budget, or is the minister even listening?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are definitely listening, and I am so grateful to the Canadians who have participated with such enthusiasm in our pre-budget consultations. We have received more than 58,000 written submissions. We are working hard with Canadians from coast to coast to coast. But let me just say, our priority today is to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to support Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. So let's get C-14 passed so we can do that.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Yesterday, the president of Pfizer said the company does not support the Liberals' decision to move the time between the doses of their COVID vaccine from 3 weeks to 4 months. And Canada's chief science officer essentially said the Liberals' decision to do so was unethical. And today, Global News is reporting that numerous Canadian medical experts penned an open letter to the Liberals with grave concerns about the decision to delay the dose. Why are the Liberals advising a 4-month interval between Pfizer vaccine doses when no one else is?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honourable member for the question. Now that we have safe and effective vaccines in Canada, we need to vaccinate as many Canadians as possible. In order to maximize the number of people gaining some resistance to COVID-19, NACI, the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, has recommended that second doses can safely be delayed by up to 4 months. We will continue working with provinces and territories to ensure that communities are protected, and we will still follow science and evidence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, the problem is, Mr. Speaker, there is actually no science or evidence to support this decision. And the parliamentary secretary's response gets to the heart of the matter. If we had more vaccine doses, if the Liberals had been on top of getting these vaccines delivered to Canadians, they wouldn't be recommending this extreme measure that no other country in the world is taking. So is he basically admitting that at this point, the Liberals are making vaccines decisions based on politics to cover for the fact that they've put Canada in the worst position in the G7 for vaccine distribution?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to start by mentioning that the NACI is independent in terms of an organization, but I want to go on to say that we are receiving 8 million doses of vaccine this quarter alone, 36.5 in the next quarter, and prior to the end of September, 118 million vaccines so that all Canadians will have access to a vaccine before the end of the summer. We have a plan. It's called a Diversified Portfolio Vaccine Plan, and it's working for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's expensive to bypass Quebec in the shipbuilding industry. We're now at $51 billion in cost overruns for combat ships that the federal government entrusted only to Irving in Nova Scotia. And the shipyard won't deliver a single one until 2030. At the same time, the Auditor General of Canada confirms in her last report that the situation is just as serious in British Columbia, where Seaspan is years behind schedule on all of its contracts as well. So in the end, no one is able to deliver except the Davie shipyard. Why not just give Davie its fair share of the shipbuilding contracts? The Honourable Minister.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for the question, Mr. Speaker. And I also want to thank the Auditor General's Office for the report. With our With our new defense strategy, our government committed to build 15 combat ships, and we are continuing to contribute to this continues to contribute over $50 billion to the economy every year. We will adapt our strategy, and the Davie Shipyard is an excellent partner. We are working in Quebec and everywhere in Canada. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Well, this is a partner that's been forgotten for shipbuilding. The shipbuilding strategy is a disaster because the federal government is doing everything it can to exclude Quebec. Ottawa has a contract right now for a polar icebreaker, and it's refusing to award it to the Davie Shipyard, even though it knows that Irving has accumulated decades worth of delays and $51 billion in cost overruns, even though it has to withdraw Seaspan's contract because it was unable to start production. The Liberals are doing everything they can to exclude Quebec, even when it's the only option left. When will they give the polar icebreaker contract to Davie? The Honourable Minister.
Merci pour...
Thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that all shipyards in Canada were able to respond to the request for proposals that ended in 2020. The responses received as part of the process will allow the Government of Canada to determine the best way to proceed. No decision has yet been made, and we are also working very closely with all of the shipyards, as we always do, including the Davie. The Honourable Member for Richmond North Athabasca. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Privy Council don't care about the French language at all. His office has so far received nearly 8,000 pages of documents related to the emergency situation caused by the pandemic, including contracts between the government and pharmaceutical companies, and he's refusing to release them on the pretext that they are not available in both official languages. The Prime Minister is hiding information from the public, important information. When will he provide us with these documents in French? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as the motion requested, we sent the documents in the existing language to the legislative assistants, and we all knew that it would take time. There's a huge amount of information there that was requested by the committee. So the government is answering as fast as possible. The documents are being processed as fast as possible, and my colleague knows well that for this government, both official languages are a priority. The Honourable Member for Richmond North Athabasca. Mr. Speaker, when I order furniture from the Swedish company IKEA, I receive a box and an instruction manual in guess which language? In French. But when it comes to official government documents concerning the management of the pandemic, well, apparently it's impossible to get them in French. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister boasts about defending the rights of francophones, but he isn't even able to solve these problems within his own department. When will he take action? When will he stop talking and start taking action to provide these documents in both official languages? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, if respecting the official languages was so important for them, they would have requested that in their motion. This is a motion that asked all documents to be sent directly to the legislative assistants and to give them the authority for translation. It was their request, Mr. Speaker. They are the ones who are showing that they do not respect the Official Languages Act, unlike the government.
Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, when speaking last week at Defense Committee on the 2018 allegations of sexual misconduct by General Vance, former military ombudsman Gary Walborn said, "The only thing I ever wanted the minister to do was his job. But rather than doing his job, the minister hid from the evidence. It's clear he misled the Defense Committee since he knew 3 years ago. And now official government memos confirm Mr. Walborn's story. How can the brave women and men in uniform trust a minister who turned his back on them?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I completely disagree with the member's assertions, and I disagree with the testimony that Mr. Olber provided to the committee. And I look forward to testifying at committee again. In fact, I welcome it. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of National Defence refused the evidence of sexual misconduct offered by the former military ombudsman. Then he hid behind the non-existent investigation by PCO. Instead of doing his duty and convening a board of inquiry into General Vance, he did absolutely nothing. Yesterday, the minister said he used his police skills to tackle the problem. What kind of police officer, what kind of defense minister runs and hides from evidence of sexual misconduct? What kind?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, maybe the member himself wants, as a politician, to conduct an investigation. But I want to make a really big assertion here. No politician should ever be part to conduct any type of investigation. Immediate allegations were reported to the appropriate authorities. In this case, it was the Privy Council office who's in charge of governor and council appointments, and they followed up with Mr. Walburn immediately, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for South Okanagan West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, the throne speech said one of the greatest tragedies of this pandemic was the lives lost in long-term care homes. Lives like the brother of my constituent, Louise. Last May, he died alone in a facility owned by Rivera. Before his death, his meals were served in styrofoam containers, and he was denied contact with the Rivera caregivers. This terrible treatment of a dying man cost $5,000 a month. And if that wasn't outrageous enough, Rivera demanded rent for 2 months after his death. Rivera is part of a Crown corporation. So when will the Liberals take the profit out of long-term care?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for the very important question. You know, Mr. Speaker, it's so important that we protect those living and working in long-term care. We provided $740 million to provinces and territories to bring in measures to control and prevent infections, including in long-term care. On November 30th, we announced an additional $1 billion in the fall economic statement to create the Safe Long-Term Care Fund. We're working closely, and we will continue to work closely with the provinces and territories to protect those in care by providing guidance to prevent and address outbreaks and work with them to set new national standards. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this past month, 2 men from Saugeen First Nation in Manitoba died while in custody at Stony Mountain Federal Penitentiary. My condolences go out to the loved ones of Dwayne Simard and William Amo. We need immediate action to ensure no more lives will be taken at the hands of this colonial justice system. With the support of Chief Hudson, their families and the community are demanding answers. When will the minister provide answers for the family of Dwayne Simard and William Amo, who died at the hands of the system?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. The care and health and safety of all persons who are in the custody of the Canadian Correction Services is a top priority for us. And we share in the concern of the community with respect to all who've lost their life in a custodial setting. I want to assure the member that Correction Services Canada works very closely with the local health authorities, and we take every step to keep the inmates in correctional facilities safe, particularly during the pandemic. An extraordinary efforts have been successfully made to limit and control outbreaks in our prisons, and we have prioritized on the recommendations of NACI inmates and correction workers for priority in the
Member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, we've had an exciting few weeks in terms of vaccines being authorized for use and those arriving in Canada. Could the Minister of Public Services and Procurement please update this House and Canadians on the total number of doses we can expect by the end of this month and the overall success of our vaccine procurement program?
The Honourable Minister of Public Services.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member from Newmarket Aurora for his question and his hard work over the past year. For nearly a year, our government's top priority has been to assemble the most comprehensive and diverse vaccine portfolio possible, with a goal of 6 million doses of vaccine to be delivered to Canadians by the end of this month. Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians will be pleased to know that we are going to beat that target. By the end of this month, Canadians can expect to see 8 million doses of vaccine delivered throughout Canada, 36.5 by the end of June, and 117 million by the end of September. We have a plan, Mr. Speaker. We are following our plan, and it is delivering for Canadians.
L'honorable député de Charles.
The honourable member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, on March 1st, 2018, former Canadian Armed Forces Ombudsman Gary Walbourne approached the Minister of National Defence to tell him about allegations of sexual misconduct concerning general events. He wanted to show the minister evidence, but the minister refused. The minister has said that he does not agree with certain parts of Mr. Walbourne's testimony, but he didn't say which parts. He also said that he's looking forward to appearing before the committee to give his version of the facts. Then what is he waiting for? Why can't he appear now and say what the truth is? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I stated, I disagree with the testimony provided by Ms. Walbourne. I look forward to testifying at committee. No politician should be in charge of any type of investigation. What needs to be done here is always information be passed on to the appropriate authorities, as should have been done by Mr. Walbourne. PCO, by Mr. Walbourne's own testimony, a PCO followed up with him immediately, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to testifying at committee at the soonest possibility. Thank you.
L'honorable député de
The honourable member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are always saying that they care about women's well-being and protection, but now we're seeing that there is a flagrantly inappropriate situation with the former Chief of the Defence Staff. We've heard that from the former Ombudsman. Will this minister tell us about these statements that he seems not to agree with?
Mr. Speaker, I look forward to testifying at committee. But one thing that we can agree upon, we do need to do more to making sure that we create an inclusive environment for all of the Canadian Armed Forces, especially when it comes to sexual misconduct. We actually have passed Bill C-77, Mr. Speaker, Declaration of Victims' Rights. We have an independent justice review that's ongoing. We also have an independent panel currently looking at systemic racism and gender bias as well. We have a lot more work to do, Mr. Speaker, and we are going to continue with that progress. Thank you.
The honourable member for West Nova.
Mr. Speaker, last spring, the federal government faced a PPE shortage and desperately needed to respond to Canada's demand due to COVID-19. Now, last month, the member for Cumberland-Colchester, the Liberal MP, stated on social media that her government had invested $27.9 million to enable Stanfields in Truro, Nova Scotia, to manufacture PPE for frontline workers. Fact is, Mr. Speaker, no such investment exists. Can the minister elaborate on what program or what the member for Cumberland-Colchester falsely conveyed to Stanfields and her constituents?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as a person born and bred in Nova Scotia, I believe in Nova Scotia industry and its hardworking people. I want to also thank the member from Cumberland-Colchester for her hard work and advocacy on behalf of her constituents and all Nova Scotians throughout the pandemic. Since day one, our government has focused on efforts on expanding domestic manufacturing of PPE, including investing over $27.9 million in Stanfield's Truro plant. On this side of the House, our government remains focused on helping small businesses that seek to retool to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for West Nova.
Mr. Speaker, not a cent went to Stanfields, but you know what? They stepped up, made sure that there was domestic production of PPE. They invested in the cells. They upgraded their facility to participate in making sure Canadians were not caught off guard again. They were assured by the local MP and others that procurement was interested in a more collaborative approach to domestic production of PPE. This also turned out to be false, as no contract was awarded to an Atlantic Canadian company. Could the minister tell us why Atlantic Canada was left out of the most recent procurement of PPE?
Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, domestic manufacturing capacity has been a core element of our government's plan throughout the pandemic, with PPE produced locally being used to protect frontline workers throughout Canada. I find it interesting that the opposition raises this now, simply because the facts are that our government has invested over $27.9 million in Stanfield's Truro plant. Again, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are supporting small business, we are supporting Canadians across the country, and indeed, 40% of our PPE contracts by dollar value are with Canadian businesses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Shefford.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Bloc Québécois convinced all opposition parties that we need to raise seniors' old age pensions. For the first time, this House voted that the government increase pensions for people over 65 by $110 a month. This House recognized that seniors are more affected by the pandemic and that we owe a debt to those who built Quebec and Canada. Does this government commit to respecting what this House voted on in the next budget? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my honourable colleague for the question. And I want to remind her that, as I said yesterday, the block motion failed to recognize the full range of challenges that seniors face, and that we have been supporting seniors with direct financial support and enhanced programs. Our government recognizes the pressures on older seniors, and as seniors age, their financial security often decreases and their needs increase. That's why our government recognizes this need and will help address it by increasing old age security by 10% for seniors age 75 and up. We have taken significant actions to support seniors, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we will always stand with seniors.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, we need to stop mixing up a one-time instance of assistance during the pandemic and regular assistance for seniors. We need to raise pensions at 65, not 75 years of age. We don't want a two-tier system because people at 65 are just as affected by the pandemic as people at 75. They are suffering the same isolation, cost increases, and effects on their mental health, as well as the virus. All of the opposition parties agree. Will the Liberals finally realize that this is important and increase pensions for people over 65 in the next budget? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to address my colleagues, my honourable colleagues' premise. She's also mixing up pandemic relief and also future pensions for seniors. I want to identify older seniors have different needs. They are more likely to outlive their savings, they have disabilities, be unable to work, and be widowed. All the while, their healthcare costs are rising. 57% are women, 4 in 10 are widows, 59% have incomes below $30,000. Our plan will help address these pressures by increasing old age security by 10% for seniors aged 75 and up. And this will be the first permanent increase to the OAS pension since
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government took 2 months to roll out the badly needed HASCAP program to businesses in the hardest hit sectors. As if this long delay was not bad enough, businesses like Deerhurst Resort in my riding are being denied emergency support funds now that applications are finally open. The government's job is to help those who need help most. Deerhurst, their 600 employees and so many other tourism businesses need help now. Will this government actually make HASCAP accessible for the hardest hit businesses?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I must be honest, it's hard to take my Conservative colleagues at face value on the importance of helping small businesses, considering their weeks-long blockade and vote against Bill C-14, which provided additional relief for our small business owners. It's hard to take them at face value when they refuse to work through the evening to debate and pass important legislation. The member, for example, of Kildonan St. Paul, critic for future workforce development, said herself that it was of the essence to pass Bill C-24 very quickly, and yet that message hasn't gotten to the leader of the Conservative Party.
The honourable member for South Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The aviation sector employs hundreds of my constituents and is a key economic driver. This sector is hemorrhaging, and BC residents are concerned that remote communities will lose airports they rely on to transport people and critical supplies. Canadian Airlines need a consistent and transparent recovery framework from this government. They need clarity to plan their offerings and seat sales. When will the government scrap its failed mandatory hotel quarantines and implement an evidence-based post-arrival testing regime?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, a strong airline sector is vital for Canada's economy and the well-being of Canadians. I know the honourable member agrees with me that now is not the time for Canadians to travel. However, we know that the airline sector has been hit hard by the pandemic, and we must do whatever we can to help key players to remain resilient and strong for the recovery phase. That's why our government will invest more than $1 billion to support those key players, such as airport and regional airlines. And we are currently in the midst of discussions with major airlines for a customized aid package, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
The Prime Minister has presided over the largest decline of female workforce employment in nearly 30 years. It has set us back 30 years, Mr. Speaker, and 500,000 women remain out of work. And in fact, 10 times as many men than women have re-entered the workforce during the pandemic, and 100,000 women have stopped looking for work altogether because there are no opportunities available to them. Now, it's been a year since the pandemic began, and yet the Liberal government has failed to provide a plan to Canadian women. So where is the plan for jobs, and where is the plan for economic recovery?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am delighted to hear the Conservatives focusing on a central preoccupation of our government, the uneven impact of this pandemic on women. And that's why I was so delighted with my colleague, the Associate Minister of Finance, to announce yesterday the creation of a task force on women and the economy that will focus on precisely this issue. And let me say to the member opposite, if she is sincerely concerned, as I hope and believe she must be, about Canadian women in this pandemic, I hope she will join us in voting for Bill C-14 that provides essential support to small businesses, to workers, to families.
The honourable member for Vimy.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives are trying to score political points. They have spent months saying that Canada does not have a vaccine plan and that Canada is behind some kind of imaginary line in the sand. On this side of the House, our priority remains serving and protecting Canadians, not scaring them. That's real leadership. People in Vimy want the facts, Mr. Speaker, and not Conservative talking points. Can the Minister tell us about the facts regarding our plan and the number of vaccine doses that we will be receiving in the months to come? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for Vimy for her question and hard work. Thanks to an aggressive, diversified procurement strategy, we have bought enough vaccines for all Canadians who wish to receive one by the end of September 2021, maybe even earlier. Canada will receive a total of 911,400 doses of the vaccine this week, and a total of 8 million by the end of March, 2 million more than expected. Since we signed the first agreements, we have sped up delivery of about 14 million doses of the 3 approved vaccines over the second quarter. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals love to say that Canada is back. Well, what's really back is a soaring deficit and an incredibly large deficit. And really, the Liberals have made Canada a leader in unemployment and the deficit. So, Mr. Speaker, to help Canadians struggling and businesses, when will this Liberal government finally come up with a good recovery plan to get Canada back on track? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what the Conservatives are leaders in filibustering. They say they want to help Canadians. Well, in order to help Canadians, we need to pass legislation. And yet, day after day, the Conservatives just put spokes in our wheels. That's all they do. We need to stop playing these petty games. We need to support Canadians. I would like to ask the Conservatives and the other parties to help us pass legislation as quickly as possible. Let us do that to help Canadians.
For Langley Aldergrove.
$1 million. That's what gets pumped into Vancouver's or Victoria's economy every time a cruise ship stops by on its way up to Alaska. Yet this government's outright ban, year-long ban, is going to kill all of that. Right now, Americans who are miles ahead of us in vaccinating their citizens are planning a workaround, avoid Canadian ports altogether. Does this minister recognize that this government's botched vaccine plan could do permanent and serious damage to British Columbia's tourism sector?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as we've stated before, we remain focused on the health and safety of Canadians. Our government has announced a prohibition of cruise vessels in Canadian waters until February of 2022. With these prohibitions in place, public health authorities will be able to continue focusing on the most pressing issues, including the containment of COVID-19 and its variants. We understand the impact this has on the sector. Our top priority will continue to make decisions that is based on science and data. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Prince Albert.
Mr. Speaker, our largest ally and trading partner in the United States is now fully vaccinating its citizens at a rate 10 times faster than Canada, many of whom are essential workers such as truck drivers. During the Prime Minister's bilateral visit with President Biden, was Canada given any assurances that our unvaccinated truck drivers would continue to be granted entry into the United States?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my honourable colleague for his questions. It is vitally important for our economy and for Canadians' well-being that we maintain the movement of essential workers between the U.S. and Canada. We've had these discussions with stakeholders, with truck associations, and as well in our bilateral meeting with our partners in the U.S. We will continue to be guided by public health advice, and we will continue to have these discussions with truck drivers and other essential workers that are crossing the borders. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, this past year we have seen institutions across Canada, including our criminal courts, face new and unique challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Recently, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada tabled an important piece of legislation to address many of those issues to help ensure the efficiency of our criminal justice system as we navigate our way through this crisis. Could the Minister please update this House on this legislation? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member of Etobicoke Lakeshore for his tireless advocacy and his profound legal knowledge and wisdom. This past year, Mr. Speaker, our government heard from our provincial and territorial partners who have had to work in creative and innovative ways to better serve our communities. To that effect, we have introduced a package of targeted reforms that will improve the effectiveness and efficiencies of the criminal justice system to ensure their ability to operate in a way that respects public health guidelines. These changes will help to modernize our justice system and better protect the health and safety of its participants far beyond the pandemic.
The Honourable Member for St. John's East. East.
On April 1st, fees and charges for Marine Atlantic ferries to Newfoundland and Labrador will go up yet again. High fees discourage travelers and visitors, increase food prices and costs of living, and hurt struggling businesses. Tourism and transportation have been hard hit by the pandemic. People and municipalities are deeply concerned. In 2015, the Prime Minister called the cost recovery formula used to set Marine Atlantic ferry rates unreasonable. His government has done nothing about it, and fees have been going up ever since. Will the Prime Minister put an end to this and reverse these unfair increases?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my honourable colleague for his question, and I want to assure him and all Canadians that my colleagues in our Atlantic Caucus have been discussing this issue on many occasions. I've been listening to them, I've been hearing about the concerns that they're raising with me, and I've been reassuring them that we are listening to Canadians, we will examine their concerns, and we will do what is best for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver-Grenville.
Mr. Speaker, Mi'kmaq chiefs, the national chief, senators, among others, have strongly condemned the fisheries minister's so-called new path, unilaterally setting out conditions for a moderate livelihood of commercial lobster fisheries. Why has the minister chosen to diverge from the true path of reconciliation based on rights recognition and cooperation that this government promised and is as set out in the 10 principles and UNDRIP? Will the minister please respect the preferred means of the Mi'kmaq to exercise their treaty rights, uphold the honor of the Crown, and get off this paternalistic path that risks a return to unrest?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, First Nations have a Supreme Court affirmed treaty right to fish, and we've never stopped working to implement that right. This is a new path for First Nations to realize their right that will allow them to fish this season. Seasons ensure that stocks are harvested sustainably, and they're necessary for a predictable and well-managed fishery, and this approach respects the Marshall decision. Marshall 2 states that moderate livelihood fisheries may be regulated if those regulations can be justified on conservation grounds. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to work with First Nations to make sure that this treaty right is implemented this year.
And that's all the time we have for question period today.